Greetings. I'm Dr. Kevin Jones, and we're going to talk about leadership in the age of accelerated transformation. We're going to focus on leadership cases. And this first case that we'll talk about is Indiana University head football coach Curt Cignetti. We're going to apply this model of leadership in the age of accelerated transformation with the goal of human flourishing, relational and emotional competencies, cognitive and strategic competencies, human-centric pillars, and augmented work philosophy. And we will include how people, processes, technology, and communication are affected by a leader who understands what is necessary in the age of accelerated transformation. For those of you who don't know, almost every one of you will know the name Curt Cignetti. He took over the losingest program in college football history. And in less than 2 years, he has brought the program to major prominence. Well, there's many variables we consider, but this is not a full analysis of what Coach Cignetti has done with the Indiana Hoosiers. What we're going to focus on are some of the things that are possible for other leaders to adopt as we are pursuing this age of accelerated transformation. Just a quick reminder, the age of accelerated transformation is defined by unprecedented pace of change and convergence of pestle forces, political, economic, societal, technological, legal, and environmental, and deep systemic transformation. So leaders in this age have to focus on navigation and not prediction. Okay, let's stay with me on this. And leaders have to recognize that change is continuous. All right, when we're talking about college football, we're talking about the NIL money. We're talking about the transfer portal. Look those things up if you don't know what those things are. These are imminent changes that have accelerated even the potential of transformation of college football programs. You can go from the losingest program in college football to one of the winningest programs in a very short period of time. Yes, some of these are variables that can be found within the pestle. We also know that systems thinking is essential, and human judgment and ethics, and we can't understate that. Ethics remain central because ethics is what connects you with people. If you can demonstrate integrity and ethics, people will relate to you. It's a strong pillar of relational and emotional connection. Also, you have to understand organizations have cultures. And establishing an organizational culture must be one in the age of accelerated transformation that can absorb and leverage disruption. This is why using American football is a very good analogy and case because there's always disruption. A, the competition, number one, but B, there's always injuries. There's people that are satisfied or not satisfied. It's a very complex world. There's fans and fans' opinions, fans' beliefs. There's much that goes into this disruption. And leaders have to be able to find a way to absorb and, yes, leverage this disruption. So let's talk about Coach Cignetti. He exemplifies a culture-first, systems-oriented perspective. If we were to define him in the lens that I'm using, he is, yes, a culture-first coach, a systems-oriented. It's not just one thing or another. It's not just identifying a player. It's not just saying a system. It's multiple variables together that lead to a defined and clear culture that people can understand and aligned with. And he's one who drives, yes, rapid, deep change in a complex environment. College football is a complex environment. If you listen to the pundits, it's almost impossible to thrive in this era of college football. However, Coach Cignetti has recognized that and worked through these rapid, deep changes in the complex environment. Now, I believe that leaders have to provide focus without promising stability. This is kind of tricky here as we explain this. You see, we cannot say, okay, I will guarantee you a job in the business world for the next 5-7 years. You can retire here, because there's so much transformation which occurs. Every job is a little bit fluid. We cannot even say to you in this time that your job will be the same this year to the next year. So let's think about college football. When you sign your letter of intent to go to a college, you have a perception of what you'd like to do. But one of the things we know about college football and all sports is performance-based. And your role, as you expected, may change. And emergent conditions may cause how you think you perceive yourself and your role to change. This may mean that people have to be built, you have to build with people this capacity for adaptability. Here's how Cignetti does it. Coach Cignetti does it. He talks about a one-game season mindset, and he uses a set of simple, repeatable mantras. This is to get across to the people in the organization, this is the culture. This is the meaning that we want to create. We want to have a shared meaning, and using something that we've talked about in previous years, a shared vision. This continuous repeating of the mantra enables people to have a connection, have meaning, and set their emotions around the desired outcomes. The impact, it reduces cognitive overload under pressure. That's right. If you simplify, you have a few simple things to keep in your mind, it helps you to sort through the complexity which you may be facing. Also, leaders must integrate across converging forces. Coach Cignetti does this. Programs designed as one integrated system. That's right, it's not just one thing or the other. It's offense and defense and special teams. Okay, now that sounds like obvious coach speak, but you have to really believe this. And then the system itself is broad because it involves recruiting, training, and yes, that culture, and then performance aligned with accountability. Accountability cannot be forgotten as we go through the age of accelerated transformation, because always each individual person as part of an organization must perform. In the words of another coach, Bill Belichick, do your job. Well, but for people to do their job, the leader has to create the environment where people understand the reason and rationale and purpose for doing the job. So, also, we want to think about this in terms of transformation. This is a program that transformed. And true transformation rewires how everything is done. Now, if you've listened to Coach Cignetti, he's talked about everything from the facilities to his office had to be redone. Why? Because when we're redefining identity, which is what he did, the standards, and even reforms the language back to people and meaning. As a coach talks, you begin to hear that reflected in the players. Players begin to understand what you're striving toward, and then they adopt that same philosophy. And it requires a shift in daily behaviors, not just tactics. We've heard, especially in sports, well, we need a person that has a great strategy and a great offense philosophy, a great defensive philosophy. Well, it's much deeper than that. You can have the greatest offensive philosophy or defensive philosophy in the world, but if you do not have the mindset within the people to understand how to execute that particular philosophy, it will not succeed. And so Coach Cignetti has effectively shifted daily behaviors, what they do in practice, what they do off of practice. Something that I heard which was really amazing is they do not keep the players all the time. They give them time to, in a sense, reflect on what they're learning, what they're doing, as opposed to say, think football all the time. Some coaches believe that. Coach Cignetti does not. And it seems to work well. So, shifts in daily behaviors, not just tactics. Also, human discernment in this age of accelerated transformation and ethics are indispensable. Coach Cignetti says basically everyone is expected to lead. That's right. The leader is not responsible for everything. Yes, the accountability, the buck stops with the leader, but each individual person within the organization is a leader because they have to perform their function effectively for others to be able to succeed. And then we collectively succeed. And that's where he does distributive ownership of standards. Multiple leaders, each individual person responsible for doing their job, working with each other as a team, recognizing what you do affects your teammate and vice versa, and supporting, recognizing, honoring the value of your teammate as you honor your individual goals. He's done a nice job of accomplishing that. So, to summarize, what we're talking about, we use Coach Curt Cignetti as an example, but these are things that many other leaders do, but we want to drive them home. Systems thinking, discernment under uncertainty, clear communication, continuous learning, and adaptability. Coach Cignetti demonstrates leadership fit for the age of accelerated transformation. He navigates the speed of the transition of college football, designs systems which work in this time, drives deep cultural change, and builds human capacity. Now, there's no such thing as a perfect leader. Every leader has flaws. Every leader has limitations. Every leader can develop more. But we wanted to use this leader, Coach Cignetti, as an example because in the age of accelerated transformation, he models many of the behaviors that other leaders should understand and perhaps follow. Thank you.